Alright folks, welcome back. Just doing some spring maintenance to my boat here, and in this video I'm just going to be showing you guys how to do some basic maintenance on your down east rod holders. These are made right here in Maine. These are awesome. These are one of my favorite types of rod holders, and they don't need a lot of maintenance, but what I found is that over time, the more you use these, if you have your rod in here, you go to take your rod out, or if you have a fish on, you go to take your rod out, sometimes these can get a little sticky and they can pull up hard. If you guys take your rod holder and you tip it over and it doesn't fall out, it probably needs some cleaning. And I'm going to show you guys a quick easy tip that you can do on how to get some lubrication in here to make that pull up easier. And what you need for this project is obviously your rod holder. You need some type of cleaning agent. I'm going to use carbon choke cleaner. You could use brake clean. You could use any other type of cleaner that you have. You need a screwdriver. I'm going to be using a toothbrush, and here's the grease I'm going to be using. You can use any grease. This is the stuff I had kicking around, so this is what I'm going to use, and just an old rag to put everything on, just to keep your work area clean. And first step of this project is what you got to do is take this set screw out. This is a really short screw, so you want to be careful when you're taking it out. Just a little short screw, just a couple threads on it. And we're going to put this screw in a safe spot so we don't lose it. And the next step is behind that set screw. Let's see if I can find it. Is a pin. I'll see if I can get that. You may not see the pin. These GoPros are terrible, but there's a pin in there. And what we're going to do is keep this lined up, and we're going to drop that pin out. Just like that. There's the pin. I'm going to set that off to the side. That pin is what holds this housing in. There is a little groove right here that pin rides in, and you'd be surprised the amount of junk that builds up in this this groove here that pin sits in. So this is an area that we're going to clean in just a second, and we're going to start this cleaning with this joint right here. This is where a lot of your mobility comes from. So we're going to hit this carbon choke cleaner right here on that joint, just like that, and I'm going to work this back and forth, and that's actually pretty tight. Just going to work that back and forth, make sure that cleaner gets in, and I'm just making sure I'm moving both sections of the pin. Sorry about the shadows there, the sun just peeked out. The sun hasn't peeked out all day, and it decided to as soon as I started filming. So we're going to let that sit, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray the outside of this housing here. Let's give that a quick shot, and we're going to let this sit for a couple minutes, and now we're going to go to this part of the housing. I'm going to spray inside here, and again I'm going to pay extra focus to get this groove. And now we're going to make sure we get some in the actual housing. And I'm just going to rotate this around, make sure that completely gets in that groove there, and we're also going to spray the pin. And now we're just going to let these sit for about 5 or 10 minutes, and we're going to come back and clean them. Alright, so it's been about 10 minutes, and we're going to clean everything up. I'm going to give this pin another quick shot, and just going to clean that in the rag. Make sure that's nice and clean. I'll set that off to the side, and I'm going to give this another quick shot. Make sure I get that joint, and now we're going to clean the outside here. I'm going to give it some fair amount of friction to get all that gunk and junk off, and same thing on this part of the joint here. Just going to try to get as much of that junk off as I can. Going to give this another quick spray. And same thing. We're just going to take this, going to wipe the inside of this, get as much of that junk out as you can. And this is where my toothbrush comes in. This is for the groove. You'd be amazed the amount of junk that gets in these grooves here. Alright, that's all I do for that, and you just look and double check, make sure you don't see anything visible. I'm going to give this a final wipe down, then we're going to put some grease in. I'm going to take just a little bit of grease on my screwdriver. I don't want a lot, because you don't want to get grease on your hands every time you touch these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this grease, I'm going to put it in this joint right here, trying to contact it onto that brass bolt. And what I'm going to do is just move this back and forth. I'm going to move this bolt back and forth, and that's already moving better. Now I'm going to move the other side. I'm going to put a little bit of grease on this side here, and move that back and forth. That looks good. Now what we're going to do is just clean up the excess. We don't need any on the housing here. We mainly want it down on the pin. Alright, that part's done. Now the next part, which is really important, is this groove here. I'm going to get a little bit of grease in that groove, because again, this is where that pin spins around on. And I'm not putting a ton of grease in. I'm trying to put in just enough so that when we drop our pin back in, it'll grab it and move it around itself. So we're ready to reassemble this. So we're going to orient the hole to the grooves on the side here. Keep it just like that. I'm going to take our pin. I'm going to hold this up and down, and that should drop right in and contact the other groove. I can tell by the way it's sitting, it's where we need it. And just like any screw, we're going to put this screw in nice and easy, making sure we're not cross-threading. And we're going to give that a nice tighten. And now what we're going to do is just check to make sure the pin's lined up right, which it is. I think we're catching too much of a shadow. Trying to get it so you can see that pin. You may be able to see that pin, you may not. But anyway, the pin is seated all the way through. So now we're just going to take this, spin this around, so that pin moves some of that grease around. Alright folks, there you have it. It's that easy. So after you clean and lubricate it, you should be able to tip it over, and it should be able to fall right out no problem, and fall back in no problem. So if you guys notice that you have a rod holder that is a little sticky, give this a try, and I'm sure it'll help it move around a little better. If you guys have any further questions, feel free to ask. I'll try my best to answer them. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.